Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next chapter with co-host Dominick Caiati. And today we're going to be talking about a very important subject I think goes overlooked because there's some moving parts, and that is the survivor benefit on your pension. So Dominick, I know you have some great tips on this, so welcome back today.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me back.
We covered a lot of ground. A lot of good information has been shared. For those of you that may be attending the first session with us, go back to the previous chapters. You'll find them on our website. I'll give it out here at the beginning. We'll close with fedchecklist.com, publicpensionchecklist.com, and then look for Fed and Gov resource on YouTube, as well as other social media channels. You can pick up these episodes. We're on 12 podcast channels. So, all right, so let's get into it. I think the first question I'll pose to you is, could you define what the survivor benefit is for those out there that, whether federal, state, or local, in the retirement?
Yep, sure. Before I do that, just real quickly, lots of people ask us regularly how their first pension is calculated. And for those of you who wanted to know that or are interested in that, or this is your first podcast, it's an equation basically, and it's based on your highest 3 years average salary. They take your highest 3 years average salary. They multiply that times the years and months that you've been employed. Now, this is for FERS pensions. This is federal pensions. This doesn't necessarily specifically pertain to state or municipal pensions, but for FERS pensions. And then they take that years and months, they multiply that times a factor of 1.1% if you've been there for 20 years or longer, or 1% if you've been there for less than 20 years. And that gives them your annual pension. Divide that by 12, and that's your number. So if you ever need help figuring that out, of course, Jeff will tell you how you can contact us in the end of this podcast. But yeah, so surviving spouse benefits, Jeff, it's an area that's really not talked about very much, and it's an area that we don't get a lot of necessarily questions on, but people are really surprised at how it's figured out. So if you're a federal employee specifically, and I'm going to say that I assume this pertains in some great way to municipal pensions as well, and your spouse wants to remain on the FERS pension that you're going to eventually get, the way it works is that when you retire, in order to have that luxury of having your spouse get the pension someday when you pass away, if you should predecease them, then you take an immediate 25% cut in your pension. So, I'm a round numbers guy, Jeff. So if your pension was $1,000, then instead of $1,000 that you were expecting to get, you're going to get $750 for the rest of your life. And then to make matters even worse is when if you should predecease your spouse, you as the federal employee should predecease your spouse, then your spouse will only get 50% of your 75%. So that, makes it even worse for you. Does that make sense, Jeff?
It does. And could you point out, there is it's something that's missed once in a while, I know at the federal level. Could you explain the health benefit for the spouse?
Yeah, so a big question we get a lot is, hey, I'm going to be retiring in 6 months or 3 months or 2 months. My spouse is currently on my health benefits. Can they stay on my health benefits? And the quick answer is yes, they can stay on your health benefits. But in order for them to participate or continue to participate in your health benefits as a federal employee, they make you sign up for the surviving spouse FERS annuity, FERS pension rather. So you don't have any choice on that. The converse of that is if you don't want to do that and you don't want to take that 25 and 50% hit, then your spouse can go on Medicare if they're 65 or older, and then we help people out with Medicare supplement policies all the time, Jeff.
Okay. Important information there. That's a big mistake, and you can't untie that once you're in retirement. So I know you and I have talked a lot about this, but share with the audience the comparative analysis that you go through when you're looking at the spousal survivor benefit versus taking it outside in the form of life insurance.
Yeah. So there's something called nicknamed the Pension Maximization Program, and that's a big name basically for a universal or an index universal life insurance plan that a federal employee would purchase with the money that they were going to give up to the government by virtue of giving them that 25% cut and eventual 50% cut. And by doing this, we've shown people in side-by-side comparisons pretty much every single time that they're going to end up paying way less for that life insurance policy to supplement their income upon their death than they would have if they were to give up that 25 and 50%. Makes
And so
sense?
you have, yes, so you have, do you have some type of software that can run through an analysis? Because if I'm just listening in, I'm going, that's great, but how do you simplify it?
We do. We have a proprietary software system here that, we just get some basic information from the federal employee, like their start date and their salary and a couple of bits of information more than that. And we run it through our software program, and we could print out a report that shows them side by side. Listen, if you take the FERS surviving spouse pension, then this is what it's going to end up costing you if you should live to this date. And if you don't, and you take the pension maximization plan by using universal life insurance, this is how much you would save over time. And it's pretty revealing. It's pretty eye-opening.
And their group life insurance for the federal level, their FEGLI, that's not going to solve it, is it?
It's really not, because most people don't realize this, but their FEGLI is nothing but a group term life insurance plan. They don't even get a policy. Most people don't realize that. When they hear that, they're beside themselves. But the FEGLI goes away at age 65, or if you have basic life, it gets reduced by 75%. So that sure will not solve their problem at all, because they're going to end up with very little death benefit or no death benefit at all. So that will not help, Jeff.
So what if I'm a nurse out there, I'm still 20 years from retirement, I'm thinking, oh, I don't need life insurance. What do you say to them?
Yeah, so I mean, most people, don't want life insurance because I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people don't, because they see it as an extra value, an extra expense that they can't bear at this time. But I'll say this, that the younger you are and the healthier you are, the lower your rates are going to be over the long term. So if you're a non-smoker that's super healthy and you're 40 years old and you're a nurse, then now is the time to, at least at a very minimum, let us run the report for you now and show you that it's even more advantageous to do this when you're young than if you were 65 or 70 years old, when your premiums on your life insurance policy are going to be much higher.
Yeah, it's that old adage, you can pay me now or pay me later.
That's exactly it. That's
So,
exactly it. But it's also, do you want to end up with a little bit of money potentially when you retire, or do you want to end up with potentially a lot more money? And the little bit of money comes from the FERS pension, as opposed to a healthy death benefit with your life insurance plan.
well, one thing I tell people is that you want options. Like what we're talking about right now, the survivor benefit. We see a lot of people come through and they don't have options. Whether it's their health, whether they don't have life insurance in place, and products are just tools to give you freedom and choices. And I heard somebody say that the other day, and I was like, that's so true. I mean, that's why it's important for each of you out there to work with somebody like Dominick, because he focuses on your occupation. But number two, he's going to create a process. And the products that you heard him talk about, a couple of products, the products are just tools to help you reach your goals. And one of the best analogies I've ever heard is if you had two choices. If you were Tiger Woods, would you want his skill set or would you want his clubs? And if you're thinking, you're going to want his skill set, because you could have the best clubs in the world, but if you don't have your swing down, if you don't have a process that's getting you to your goal and you're not a master of it, it doesn't matter what clubs you have.
Correct.
So the products are the clubs. Dominick and his team are the process. And so I think that's important to point out.
Yeah, and also I'm a big, I like analysis and I like reports, Jeff. And I never thought I would admit to this, but I was never really good at math when I was a student. But one thing I do love about math is that numbers don't lie. 2 plus 2 at the end of the day is always going to equal 4.
Well, I saw Harvard come out with a study recently that does it really.
Oh, really? I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Let's go on
Well,
the future.
it's this whole, I'm not gonna get on a sidebar here, but you look it up, and all of you, it's just crazy. It's kind of the crazy world we're in, but this Harvard professor is saying it's your own truth. So if you don't think 2 plus 2 equals 4, maybe you think it equals 6. And I'm like, okay, what kind of upside down world am I living in? But
Wow.
in a normal financial planning world, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And I agree with you 100%. And they don't lie. The numbers don't lie. So how does the audience get a hold of you if they want to check you out?
Yeah, so I think the best way is to go to our brand new website that we're really proud of. Just giving a little plug there for it. It's caiatifinancial.com. So it's CAIATI financial, the word financial, caiatifinancial.com.
And let us give you two sites that you can check out if you're a federal employee. Go to fedchecklist.com. You can download a complimentary workbook, budget, and retirement worksheet. Help you just get your thinking going. You can also post questions if you want us to connect you to Dominick. You can book a meeting right there, and you can also there's a section where you can ask questions, and we'll get them to Dominick. You can also call us 888-545-8840. That's 888-545-8840. And Dominick and his team are offering a complimentary retirement consultation. So you want to take them up on that. So next subject, what are we talking about next week?
So let's see. Next week, we're going to talk about 401k, or, in this case, TSP or 457s or 403b to Roth conversions.
Okay.
Yep. Great
Well,
opportunity, great time to be thinking about that. We're at an all-time, decades low on taxes. So I like to tell people there's a tax sale going on right now, and you need to think about getting on board.
and the benefit of the Roth is tax-free distribution, correct? If it's held a certain period of time.
Exactly. Yep.
So
And there's lots more benefits as well that we'll get into next week.
that's a little tease.
Yeah.
So look for the next episode to be uploaded. And Dominick, I know you're busy, so thank you for your time again.
Oh, thank you, Jeff, always for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, this wraps up our session today on the survivor benefits. Join us next week. We're going to get into Roth conversions and why you should compare your current TSP 403B with the Roth because of what Dominick just pointed out, the tax benefits. So we'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.